Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back, loyal viewers. I am Carrie, the nosy housefrau. Getting right into it, Colleen Ballinger ended her long silence by making music history. And I'm going to end my semi-retired silence because, like so many, I'm offended that Colleen turned her transgressions into a little ditty blaming everyone criticizing her. But before we can even talk about Colleen, I need someone to clarify for me what is going on with the pronunciation of her name. Where did this Colleen come from? When I was growing up, we had one pronunciation for Colleen, and we were happy to have it. I keep hearing Colleen, so I looked it up in one of her interviews, like Jimmy Fallon, and every time I tried to find it, the intro was always cut off. I think I figured it out. I don't think her parents decided to get creative with the vowels in Colleen. I think people are watching Adam McIntyre videos and pronouncing it with his accent. I think that might have been what happened. Look, we all wish we had a cool accent, and perhaps you're even a hibernophile, but my American friends, you are from these United States where it is Colleen. Stop trying to be Irish, you gobshites. That's what my grandmother would have said. But when Americans say Colleen, to me it sounds like an anal cleanse. Get your butt clean with Colleen, 'cause you're beautiful on the inside. But excuse me, I digress. One thing that is certainly not amusing is Colleens History. Every time I've heard or watched a video about her recently, it got worse and worse. I thought we pretty much all agreed the underwear in the mail was awful. But people were more forgiving of that because it was explained in such a way that people could see she made perhaps a dumb mistake. I hope she grows up, and I wish her well far away, might have been the sentiment. But just like with James Charles, the issues mounted. Oh my God, sisters, I was fooled again. I'm so mad. I'm so stupid. Next time, I am definitely going to ask for ID and make sure the guys who look 14 are really 18 like they say. What? Oh my God, not again? GTFO to people like this. We cannot keep saying all this smoke leads to no fire when it comes to children. You get to play the oopsie card maybe once at best. Colleen's transgressions kept mounting in her ambiguous little ukulele FU anthem, where she is far more pissed than remorseful. I mean seething, in my opinion. She refers to herself as not having been inappropriate, just a loser. Sorry, I know that word is right out of the Mean Girls handbook, but what exactly are you calling yourself when you call yourself a loser? That's as ambiguous as your ukulele FU anthem. Calling yourself a loser is an attempt to paint a picture of a downtrodden, friendless, nice person who just needs love. Loserville is right out of the travel pamphlet at Manipulation Station. I think when Colleen uses this word loser, she wants to appeal to the loneliness in people and seem like a lovable loser, relatable, someone who is just trying to make friends. Very, very young friends. Colleen's transgressions were already mainstream media, but putting them in a non-apology ditty took her to the next level. It was jaw-dropping that she thought she did a thing there. She sure did. I see a Netflix documentary on the horizon, no joke. I may do a video breaking down the lyrics, but the gist of the song, sometimes sung, sometimes spoken, song speak, was basically saying if you criticize Colleen, you are a gossip and are just picking up torches and pitchforks to be part of a hate mob. Do you want to be a good person or a bad person? I'm glad to see this sentiment got the pushback it deserves. I am offended by Colleen, and I resent being called part of a hate bandwagon because I had a problem with her behavior. Whenever there is a large group of people offended, there will always be someone to say it's a witch hunt or hate for sport. In lack of any other argument, that's the copy-paste thing to say across the board. Sometimes a large group of people are offended at the same time because we, many millions of us, share a culture of social norms, and when you do something that is harmful to children, you have violated a social norm that is pretty universal. You don't get to play victim because your critics happen to be a legion, as they should be. One thing in favor of people who exhibit criminal behavior as Colleen has is that no one wants to believe it. I certainly don't. You can look at Colleen and say, she's like everyone. She's a mother. She's been successful. She has a wonderful home that she keeps. She has no reason to be what people are accusing her of. She doesn't look like someone people would want to persecute. People would want to be her friend. I think that's why she's gotten away with her behavior for so long. And yet there she was on the predator stomping ground. Where there are lambs, there will be wolves. And the victims have spoken up. Do we not believe them because Colleen doesn't look like she would do those things? It's been proven that she has. As is always the case, I will focus on what we know, not what people think might be the case. What do we know for a fact about Colleen that's worthy of criticism? I don't know how far she would go. I know how far she did go. We know she was having inappropriate conversations with a 13-year-old. We know for a fact she embarrassed that girl on stage. If Colleen was just trying to make friends, why were they all so young? Where were the adults? It seems like every time I hear about her chat rooms, it was all minors. I don't see the harm in speaking with a minor, by the way. We are all part of this world. They're like happy little puppies and you can say hi and be acquaintances. But she was creating a bestie bond. She was having conversations that were beyond the pale. She asked Adam to go buy her feminine protection. I was flat out horrified when I heard that. What kind of mistake is that? Air quote. How could you make a mistake like that? I don't talk to my husband about that stuff. Over the years, I practically buried it in the backyard to hide it. Don't ask, don't smell. How far gone do you have to be to write a song addressing this, saying that she's been lied about? And by the way, innocent people will address lies directly. They're not vague. So how gone do you have to be at her age to not know better? And that's the problem a lot of people have, is how can you explain not knowing better? I believe Colleen's song underscores what I have suspected about her and people like her. I feel there are a breed of people who cannot see the difference between adults and minors in terms of propriety. Just like some people are tone deaf, in the literal sense I mean this, she seems to lack an ability to discern, and that's because she is stuck in a phase of immaturity, in my opinion. And this could be linked to an actual disorder. There is a disorder, insert Dr. Grande. I am not diagnosing anybody, just saying what could be happening in a case like this. One characteristic, I went a little James Charles Dr. Grande, but one characteristic of this immaturity disorder is mental rigidity. A person who doesn't mature properly sees themselves in a very concrete way, and they cannot accept responsibility for their actions. I think Colleen was around kids because to her, those were her people. And I know this, for some, is going to seem like giving Colleen more understanding than she deserves. But I would submit it's not an excuse, just a possible explanation. She was looking frail in that video, and I think this is taking a toll on her. And I'd like to see her get some help and take proper accountability. I want to give a quick nod to Paige Christie's video as well as Adam McIntyre's. His response, of course, was very personal for him, and he did a really good job responding. Paige took out a ukulele. At times, I was crying laughing because she's the funniest person and had her hands. She would take her hand off the ukulele and it was still playing. They gave us back the ukulele and saved so many people from canceling their trips to Hawaii. I'm also very impressed with Adam's growth. On a more serious note, I feel like he has become quite articulate and may give other victims strength to stand up for themselves. Abused people are always taught by their abusers to protect their abusers, and it can take a lot to break out of that and allow yourself to be angry. In the United States, we have had to introduce our shield laws so that victims can't be torn apart by the prosecution in court based on their past history. This is just to illustrate that victims always have a hard time coming forward because they are vilified. It still happens. All of that aside, if the only thing we knew was about the free labor, think about what kind of a cheap piece of garbage you'd have to have someone bust their butt for you for years and pay them exactly zip. And if that's a lie, Colleen could show literal receipts. Instead of paying him, what Colleen did was lead Adam McIntyre to believe in possibilities. She exchanged false hope for all of the labor that he did for her. And that's very hard for me to wrap my brain around. Even if you're not exploiting a minor, how do you just go through life take and sleep like a baby? Especially screwing over a minor out of a salary. She couldn't throw him anything. If my neighbor gives me free tomatoes, they're like, here, take these free tomatoes. I'm still going to give them a jar of my heavenly bolognese. Colleen was making money hand over fist and gave these young people nothing, and was almost cult-like in how she had them adore her. She still has people who worship her, who of course are going to give victims a hard time. Ultimately, we don't need to consider how far Colleen would have gone. We know empirically she went too far. When that happens, a real response is needed to the victims, for yourself and for them. Not for the internet, who, of course, there will be tons and tons of people who would never forgive you no matter what you do. There are people who do hate for sport. But I don't think it's fair to say that that's the majority in this case, and then that's who you should address. I think a real response is needed. One that shows you understand the gravity of the allegations. A mature response. If you have been lied about, be specific. Address those lies. Vagueness does you no favors. You do not get to say people think they are perfect and believe they've never made mistakes because they call you out on criminal behavior. You've minimized. That song just minimizes with every note what she has done. I believe parents should not let their kids, their minors, go to a future Colleen tour where her Miranda Sings character is up on stage putting people's hands in her pants. No, I don't think people should be letting that happen. And that is not me being pious. That is me having no gray area when it comes to the protection of minors. And thankfully, we are still in the majority, I hope. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Is Colleen Ballinger being much maligned? Or is the backlash she's getting more than fair and in some cases not even enough? Let me know. And also, is it Colleen or Colleen? Happy Independence Day, America!